Welcome to the Holy Smokes Podcast, a show about faith, friendship, fine tobacco, and drink. I'm Steve Ryder, and this one's a little bit different because I am on Zoom talking with Tim Long and Kyle Garrett. Garrett, right?
Yep, you got it.
Okay, perfect. Talking with Tim Long and Kyle Garrett, the hosts of the Dad's Smoking Cigars podcast. Tim had me on, and we interviewed on when I was in Southern California a few weeks ago, and so that episode will be in the feed. You'll see that one coming up. I want to kind of let people hear a little bit about Dad's Smoking Cigars and what they're doing. But on this one, I wanted to talk to you guys about what is Dad's Smoking Cigars and this really cool event you guys are going to be doing in the Phoenix area coming up in a couple months.
Well, I'm going to let Kyle take the lead on Dad's Smoking Cigars because it's really his brainchild, and then I'll touch in when it comes to the Pacific Cigar Show.
Yes, one idea gave birth to another, essentially. So back in July of 2018, Tim and I were hanging out one night, and leading up to that point, my cigar smoking frequency was growing because I was just enjoying more, spending time with people who smoked and getting to know more of what it's like to really enjoy cigars. And as such, I was getting into other cigar, enthusiasts and influencers who were doing things like YouTube and also podcasting. And so I thought, you know what, I want to do something cigar related. And I couldn't figure out what to call it for the longest time. Mm-hmm. And Tim and I were hanging out one night and I said, I want to do this thing. Let's start on Instagram and we'll just do it for fun, see where it goes from there. I said, you down? He said, yeah. And then I kept thinking about it. I said, well, what are we going to call it? And then I thought about my dad, who got me into cigars, the fact that Tim and I are both dads. And I was just like, Dad's Smoking Cigars. What do you think? And he's like, all right, cool, let's do it. And so, I even remember the date. It was July 13th, 2018. We hung out on my patio, had some cigars, drank some whiskey, and it was a good night. And that was Dad's Smoking Cigars came to life on my patio.
Yeah.
So that's where it started. And after that, about 4 months later, we had 1,000 followers on Instagram. We started linking up with some industry people, cigar brokers and manufacturers alike. Mm-hmm. And it's been just one crazy ride from there, getting to do the things we've done from, events and cut and lights and whatnot. It's been pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Nice.
So, but that's what Dad's Smoking Cigars just became a brand. Essentially through our Instagram, Tim and I developed, merchandise and things like that. And a lot of the things that you see, Tim, it was just stuff Tim would play around with. And then we would go over it and look at it. And he's like, what do you think about this? I'm like, that looks awesome. Let's go with that. Or let's do this or do that, et cetera, and things like that. So we trade back and forth on the various ways we can present the brand. And it's been pretty interesting. And the response we've gotten from people has just been ridiculous. And it's been wonderful, the fact that we've gotten to the point where people trust and respect us enough that they're like, what do you think about this? Try this brand. Can we please send you some cigars? Would you please do this? And we're like, how in the heck did we get here?
Well, we had one today where there's a brand that we were sent cigars by the manufacturer, by the owner, he and his wife. And someone today tagged us and said, thank you for introducing me to this brand. It was amazing. I'm not typically a Habano cigar smoker, but thank you so much because they're now going to be in my regular rotation. Yeah. And that's the cool stuff about it. I mean, we get to impact the industry on a very micro level, but we also get to make someone's long-term cigar experience that much better.
Yeah, just this week in the Holy Smokes private Facebook group, I've actually in the last probably 2 weeks, I've seen 2 people tag me in posts and say, hold up a picture of a Lucione one-off and say, all right, I've been listening to the Holy Smokes podcast. Steve's talked so much about this. I'm giving it a try. And both times they were like, they really enjoyed it. And so we're starting to kind of see that a little bit too, which is really, really exciting.
Oh, yeah.
So talk about everything that you guys kind of have going on. You got a podcast, YouTube channel. What are the kinds of stuff you talk about? Who do you talk to? You got social media, Instagram, obviously, Facebook. So talk about the whole gamut of all the stuff you guys have going on.
I'm already getting anxiety just because I'm thinking, geez, okay, like what we have. Okay, got it. All right.
So I'm not one that sits back on my laurels and goes, we'll see what happens when, and we'll start this and ... I'm one that goes, oh, I have a concept. I'm going to turn it into a teenager and then a toddler and then a high schooler within 3 days because it's how I'm wired. It's how God created me. And so
there have been times where basically Tim is announcing to me, we have kids. I'm like, really? We have kids? You didn't think to tell me about this? And so
pretty much
now we have all these little baby concepts and projects running around. He's like, now I have to catch up some of the time, but it's
been great. So we went with our original logo that we had when we first launched, and it was just a very rudimentary. It was a picture of a cigar and it said Dad Smoking Cigars on it. It's actually our classic shirt that's available in our shop. But we went from there and we wanted something that was modern, sort of eye-catching and engaging at the same time, but didn't look too polished because we're everyday guys. You'll hear us say it in everything we do. We're two average guys that enjoy cigars. And so from the branding standpoint, I adapted the logo. We sent it to a friend who actually, his family company manufacture our hats. And he said, hey, great logo. I like this. Can I add a little antique look to it? And so that sort of muted tone, greenish cream color, or greenish. I'm colorblind.
Like sepia.
Yeah.
Kind of
sepia.
You see
color tone
behind us.
So this logo right here, that's behind us in our studio, is really what came out of that. And as soon as we did that, essentially with our merchandise and different things, it started to take off. Now, are we selling gangbusters? No, but our hat with the original or this logo does phenomenally well. It's our best-selling product.
Yeah, that is our best seller.
And so from that moving forward, and I know Steve, you and I have talked when you sat down with me about how I've been in the event industry for nearly 2 decades and wanted to own my own event and produce and create and direct. And I've had a sample of that when I ran my own company for a couple of years. But out of all this, after we met a broker who was a fellow holy smoker, Brandon Wells, when we met and talked and hung out with him, he really was the first industry person, if you will, that gave us our validation. And from there it was, okay, let's create something that combines our passion of cigars with my background in event production, creation, designing, and everything in between, with Kyle's social media and networking and being a published author and PR skills. And let's mold it together and let's create an event that focuses solely on the boutique lines, which are up and coming in the industry. And so out of that, which was over a year ago now, that was December of last year. So 13 months ago was when we met with Brandon. And so 13 months
ago. It was November of 2018.
Oh, November. So even longer by a month. But out of all of that, the Pacific Cigar Show was born. And people have asked me, why did you name it Pacific Cigar Show? Because Arizona, where it's being held in Peoria, Arizona, is not on the Pacific coast. Now it's the Pacific half of the United States.
Yeah.
And the vision, God willing, is 5 years from now to be doing one event a quarter and do Arizona, California, Oregon, and Washington. And so I wanted the branding in place already so that when it does expand, we've got the brand recognition already of this is a Pacific Coast event. Also, we want to be able to appeal to people on the Pacific Coast, to California, to Oregon, to Washington, Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, all those different states that are on the Pacific Coast of the United States. We wanted to be able to appeal to them and say, this is for you. You're going to get introduced to boutique cigars. You're going to be able to meet manufacturers and owners running the companies. You're not going to go and talk to a heritage line that's got a sales director, and they're great people, nothing against them, but you're not going to talk to a sales director and be able to get the same engagement of, why did you create this blend? I love this flavor note, with the tobacco blending that you did. How long did it take you to get? You're not going to get that. And so that's what we're aiming to do and what we're going to do with the Pacific Cigar Show, March 28th, 2020 in Peoria, Arizona. It's going to be at V.I.P Cigar Lounge. And so that was another one of the byproducts of Dad Smoking Cigars. But we've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, we've got our YouTube channel now, which started in April of last year.
Yeah,
so we're nearly a
year
year old there, and we're a little north of 300 subscribers on that. And so, a lot of different ancillary projects and arms of Dad Smoking Cigars have come to fruition and have taken off.
Yeah.
On top of our Instagram, which is our main source of connection with our followers, if you will.
Yeah, that's kind of the hub, really, of where we exist on social media, and everything branched out from there. Because, Instagram is still pretty versatile in what you can do with it and how many people can see what you're doing.
Right.
And I think that's one of the reasons why Instagram is probably the best social media platform for the everyday person.
Well, and for what we're doing with the IGTV things, we can post videos. And one last thing that was birthed out of Dad Smoking Cigars came from Kyle's dad on Father's Day.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle was sitting with his dad as his dad was enjoying a cigar. And Kyle just wanted his dad to post a video. And so
saying Happy Father's Day.
Saying Happy Father's Day. And so Kevin said, basically to everyone in the Dad Smoking Cigars nation, And Kyle had sort of a light bulb moment and an aha moment of like, hey, we've never called it that, but we could call it the Dad Smoking Cigars Nation. So out of that, we birthed, and it's not a Patreon, it's not a paid subscription. No. It's a private, like Holy Smokes. It's a closed group on Facebook where it's invite only. And we're at about 150 is where we hover in membership. And it's just posting what you're smoking, what you're enjoying. Are you enjoying a nice whiskey or a beer or whatever it is?
It's also a nice place for us specifically to be able to also share what's going on with Pacific Cigar Show as well. Just because
they get sneak peeks.
Yeah, they get sneak peeks specifically just because, you know, in other groups, there's kind of the, you know, they're hesitant to allow that just because it could become just an explosion of spam where people want to promote their own stuff. We had a little bit of that going on in our group briefly and
took care of that real quick.
Had to unfortunately kick out a member who didn't engage with anyone and all he did was post his promotions. And so it was one of those things all right, well, we got a taste of that, moving on, you know. And so, but the nice thing is we can give people sneak peeks of what's going on with the Pacific Cigar Show. We can make certain announcements there because they are private and they're going to stay there. And, you know, it's slowly growing like everything else we're doing, but it's just fun, the engagement, the community and everything. And that really is at the core of it is what the wonder has been, being first and foremost wholly embraced by the cigar community because we're just a couple of guys who enjoy them. And, you know, whether it's here and there or frequently, and it's far more frequent than here and there now.
At this point much more in our life. We have to keep up with our humidors and what's sent to us.
Right, pretty much. So, but the huge blessing, obviously, just because, you know, we try to make sure that as often as possible, we do support these brands and make sure that we are, you know, doing what everybody else does and going out and buying the brands we hear about and people that, you know, suggest things to us, we go out and buy them. But we have been very fortunate in that people have been sharing their brands with us, whether it's their brand or a brand that they heard of or a brand they enjoy. They've been very generous. And so we never forget that. We never forget to be grateful for that because it's the exception. It's not the rule. You know, you should not expect it from people because there are people like that out there. We've encountered them.
Yeah. And we need to approach it with humility.
Yes, exactly.
And we were recently engaged in a conversation with someone that we've got a lot of respect for.
Oh, he's a great guy.
And so, you know, we had done some different things and, you know, Kyle had made a post and basically we wanted to approach it the godly way and just say, you know what, we had an error in our ways because the perception of the way something came across, even though it was not the intention, which we feel bad about, was not the way it was received. And so, you know, I talked with Kyle and said, hey, this is the right thing to do. The person or persons that were impacted by it said, you know what, we don't need you to do that. We're not asking for that. And I said, I don't care if you're asking for it. And, you know, believers along with us. And I said, it's the right thing to do because one is the body of Christ. We need to uphold our integrity. And secondly, we need to make sure that we're nurturing the community that supports us. And even if 99.9% of the people have no clue what we're talking about, the fact that we're making a public statement that says we're human too. We've got an error in our ways, but we want to make it right and just let you guys know that we're not going to forget where we came from. And we are beyond humble and grateful for what you guys have done to support us. It was the right thing to do, but we've had to learn some lessons along the way.
Absolutely. I mean, lessons where we've made the errors and lessons where we've been on the other side of other people who've made errors. And, you know, we didn't know exactly how to respond to it except just to like, okay, well, that happened. And, you know, we forgive and we move on. And if there's a conversation to be had about it, then we have that conversation. If not, you know, sometimes certain relationships aren't meant to last and continue.
And it happens.
It happens. It's a bummer, but it happens. Even in this community where
someone's at the front door.
So thank you for that. I blame you for that.
Yes.
So he has that on loud and clear in his garage. I just get notifications on my phone. So, but you know, it's a very versatile community, and you meet all people from all walks of life. And like I said, the vast majority of them, you're not likely to meet people that rub you the wrong way in the cigar community, because the vast majority of people we met have not. They may be quirky, they may be interesting, sometimes maybe a little rough around the edges, but at the same time, when you get together over a cigar, that matters so little. And so we've just been grateful for the relationships we do have, the support that we do have. And
it's humbling.
It's incredibly humbling because, again, we come back to, we're just a couple of guys that's just enjoy cigars. That's pretty much it.
So Tim, you have cut your teeth in the event industry. You currently have a job with Azusa Pacific, managing their events. Kind of paint the picture for the listener. Why should a Holy Smoker in Arizona, in California, within driving distance, or even want to fly out to Phoenix for this event? What are you guys going to be doing? What kind of amenities are you going to be offering, and that kind of stuff?
Perfect. So at the Pacific Cigar Show, well, let me back up. Being in the event industry, for those of you that haven't seen the wonderful documentary of the epically horrible fire festival, please I think it's on Netflix, go and check that out. But it was all the best laid plans with no follow through and no execution. And I'm a firm believer, I even tell my staff at work, you can have the best laid plans, but when you execute, or when you have failure to execute, it doesn't matter. And so we've been planning for, like we just mentioned, over a year for the Pacific Cigar Show. And real quickly, just what you're going to get from it. The ticket packages, and we're calling it an experience because there's a difference between going to an event and having an experience. And an event is where you go and you attend and you enjoy some ambiance and you go, okay, yeah, I went to that event. I attended that event. But an experience is something that is memorable that you take away and you go, I need more of that. I want to go back to that. When is the next one? And I need to bring people with me. And so for the Pacific Cigar Show, the tagline is a boutique cigar experience because it's all boutique cigars. It's an experience that starting at $40 is going to allow you to get in, get a meal ticket, get a complimentary cigar, and the cigar event the show is sponsored by Gran Habano Cigars, and they're graciously providing the complimentary cigar to everybody that goes into the event. So for $40, you're going to get in, you're going to get a meal ticket, and you're going to get a great environment. There's going to be cash bars available there, so you can enjoy a fine drink if you would like, and our bars are actually going to be taken care of and serviced by Adventurous Stills, who is the sponsoring distillery of the event. And they have fantastic drinks spirits from rum to vodka to whiskeys and all sorts of different ones. And they're delicious. We've actually reviewed a couple of them and they're just phenomenal. And so they're going to be there, but starting at $40, you get that. Once you go up to the next level, which is the full experience is what we're calling it, you get the event shirt, you get the complimentary cigar, you get the meal ticket, and you just get a little more fuller experience of access into the event, some different things of that nature. And then there's the VIP. And VIP is a limited quantity because of space and because we want to make it a more elite experience. Yeah. And that's $150. And for that, you're going to get a complimentary box of premium boutique cigars. You're going to get the event shirt. You're going to get an event glass. It's a 12.5-ounce whiskey glass branded for the event. You're going to get 2 meal tickets and you're going to get 2 drink tickets. So for $150, you're going to get all of that. And everyone that has reached out to us, we talked to a law enforcement officer who's looking to bring a number of officers to the event. And so we're looking at getting people engaged in an experience. And that's what the Pacific Cigar Show is engaged at. And the manufacturers that we've got online for that right now, like I mentioned, Gran Habano is the sponsor of the event. We have Casa Cuevas Cigars, which I know you enjoyed Casa Cuevas while you were here.
Yes, and a couple of Holy Smoke podcast episodes we have. I've handed the ones that Brandon gave me to
nice.
guests, and yeah,
fantastic.
They are very good.
Nice. So we've got Gran Habano sponsoring. We've got Casa Cuevas. We have Espinosa Cigars, and Jack Tarano is the national sales director for them. He's been in the industry for years and years and years and years. Obviously headed up by Eric Espinosa, who's a multi-generational leader of that company now in the cigar industry. We have Artesano del Tobacco, who put out the Viva La Vida, as well as now they just released the Viva La Vida Jester. They also did an exclusive for Luxury Cigar Club. Yes. They did a Lancero for them. And so Artesano del Tobacco is going to be there. And actually the Luxury Cigar Club guys are going to be there supporting them. And then last but certainly not least, we've got Big Sky Cigars. They're out of Montana and they're bringing the cigar industry back to Montana. Nice. We've had their Bighorn, which is a Maduro, and we've had their Yellowstone, which is Connecticut light-bodied. And so those 5 manufacturers are who we have on the hook as of right now. We're in discussions with possibly 2 more. Nothing's guaranteed as of right now. It's very early in the discussion stages. And then, like I mentioned, we've got Adventure Stills as the sponsoring distillery. So it's going to be an all day with food, with music. And it's not live music. It's not a live band that's going to be playing too loud. It's going to be ambiance music, being down in the Caribbean or being down, in South America, and mixing it up so that it's an overall environment, not an entertainment.
Well, it's going to engage. It's going to engage the senses, which I know sounds kind of, funny, or corny, but it's going to be one of those events that it's going to be all encompassing as far as from getting to meet the manufacturers, kind of the visual element and seeing what they have to offer, and obviously enjoying the cigars and having that experience, the fine drink, the music, the company, the atmosphere. Like Tim said, you're not just going to an event to check it out and then, okay, that was cool, and you go home. And maybe you talk about it, maybe you don't, maybe you go back again if they have another one, but it's one of those things where you're going there because you're going to have a lot of fun beforehand before you even get there.
And we've built in additional perks that I forgot to mention with each of the different package levels. So the entry level one, the social one, the $40 one, there's no perks or incentives for buying cigars. There's no price break on it, I guess is the way I'll put it. Once you get to the full experience, then you get a 10% discount on all cigar purchases at the lounge. And then when you're a VIP and you have the VIP experience pass, you get 20% discount on all cigar purchases. So when the person in law enforcement reached out to us and said, hey, are we going to be able to take away and do the different things? I informed him and let him know. That's a huge perk for a lot of people because he asked, are there going to be ample cigars to take away in quantity? We're going to have boxes and boxes and boxes of cigars. So absolutely. And VIP Cigar Lounge is a phenomenal venue to host this, and they're sponsoring host. And so Tony, the owner of that's a fantastic guy. He's partnering with us on this. He's got dedicated private rooms that are going to be our VIP lounges that are going to have their own bar in them. And so it is so well set up, Steve, to be an event that is an experience that will hopefully be something that holy smokers or non-holy smokers come to and enjoy. And for holy smokers, one of the things that we're offering, because we are holy smokers, we love the ministry, we love what it does, and we love supporting our fellow brothers and sisters in the Lord, is we're extending a discount offer for Holy Smokes. And what we're going to do is if you go on to PacificCigarShow.com, and when you're checking out, whatever package level you select, if you put in, I believe it's HS10. So put in HS10 as your coupon code at checkout, you get 10% off any package. Doesn't matter if it's VIP, the social one.
Exclusive to Holy Smokers.
Yes, exclusive to Holy Smokers, members only, but HS10 will get you 10% off your purchase of your experience pass.
What are the dates again?
March 28th, 2020 in Peoria, Arizona. If you're looking at flying, coming from somewhere that's not within a convenient driving distance, flying to Phoenix Airport, and it's about a 20-minute drive.
Perfect. And yeah, I'm seriously thinking about coming there. One of the things I really like about it is it's not going to be a huge event. So there's limited seats, limited spots, limited tickets available for this first one. And as it goes, next year will likely be bigger. But you're planning on doing this annually, right?
We hope so. That's the goal. Yeah. Starting out, we'll probably just do it once a year, probably for the first anywhere from 3 to 5 years, depending on how big it gets over that period of time. It may be sooner that we start to do more than one event a year, but, putting the cart before the horse.
We'll see where God leads on that one.
Exactly.
For now, it's definitely utilized.
Well, considering that Arizona State are in the Pac-12. Arizona really kind of is a Pacific state. So don't forget about Utah, which Utah is in the Pac-12 as well, and the University of Colorado. So if you guys did a Pacific Cigar Show here in Colorado, I can guarantee you we would have a bunch of local holy smokers that would come and
we've toyed with that. We truly have toyed with that. The respectful approach to not right now having Colorado on the plans, which it could completely change, is they have the Rocky Mountain Cigar Festival.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's a fantastic event, but we're gauging.
But it's just once a year.
It's just once a year.
But it's just once a year. And you guys are looking to possibly eventually do quarterly stuff. So
yes,
I encourage you to eventually come in, especially because you're doing it from a boutique aspect. You're looking to create an experience.
And there's no trade show aspect, which Rocky Mountain has.
Exactly. So website one more time.
Go to PacificCigarShow.com. All of the information is up there. We're in the process of still updating, and the landing page is going to be revised. It's going to have the new graphics on there as to who's sponsoring, who's participating, and the pricing is actually going to be on the landing page when you first get there, so you don't have to go to the tickets and secure them and do all that. And if there's any holy smokers out there that are interested in being a vendor because you make something that is related to cigars, accessories, or anything of that nature, we do have exhibitor spaces available, and all of that information is available on the website if you click on the Be an Exhibitor or Vendor, and we would love to get you connected.
All right. So, Tim, Kyle, thanks for being on. All that information will be in the show notes in the description, and we will make sure that when we share this in the Holy Smokes group and on the Holy Smokes page, that all those links will be there, as well as tagging you guys and tagging Dad Smoking Cigars and tagging Pacific Cigar Show.
Awesome.
And so, yeah. So one other thing for listeners, up next in the feed is going to be a Dad's Smoking Cigars interview with some dude from Holy Smokes. And
that Steve guy.
Yeah. And so anyway, just to kind of give listeners a chance to listen to a little bit of Dad's Smoking Cigars and how Tim converses. Kyle wasn't able to make it, which I was very disappointed. But the next time I'm in Southern California, I'm going to be interviewing you both and getting your stories separately. Not part of the same interview, but separately. And then maybe we'll do a 3-way conversation, just kind of talking about whatever. So
sure.
Sounds good.
All right. Holy Smokers, do good, be awesome. Thanks for listening, and support these guys. They're good dudes.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.